All right, today we're going to be working on activity 1.11. We're going to be reading our first fictional narrative. This is going to be one by an author named Langston Hughes, who is a very famous African-American author and poet. He, let's see right here, it says lived from 1902 to 1967, and a lot of great stuff. Entered Columbia University in 1921. That would have been a long time ago for an African-American guy to be in Columbia University, so he overcame a lot of racism and became a prominent figure in the Harlem Renaissance. Wrote poetry, plays, stories. We'll read. I think we'll read one of his poems later, but this is one of his short stories. Okay, so we're going to be looking at theme is going to be main focus of this story, and also it is written in the third person, and we're going to be working on changing something from third person to first person at the end. So a good little trick. Good practice to change perspectives. So this story is called Thank You, Ma'am. That's how you say that, so you don't see ma'am written out very often. Okay, so after you read the story, it's a good one. I'll look forward to talking about it with you guys after you read it. Okay, you'll read through it again, and here's some of the questions that you're going to be answering. Number 1 on page 52, remember page numbers are right here at the bottom. How does the details of setting and character set up the conflict of the story? So setting, when and where the story takes place, the character, and what the problem of the story is. That's established pretty early in the story, so that shouldn't be tough to make. Number 2, how does Mrs. Wellabates Washington Jones, that's her name, that's one of the main characters' names there, comment in paragraph 13? And remember, if you forgot, the paragraphs are numbered, so you'll easily find paragraph 13. I got a great mind to wash your face for you. Define how she treats Roger. Find other textual evidence based on things Mrs. Jones says to support your answer. Okay, always look at that textual evidence. Number 3, in paragraph 25, Mrs. Jones finally turns Roger loose. Roger looked at the door, looked at the woman, looked at the door, and went to the sink. Why did the author choose to italicize this part of the text? So sometimes when we are writing, we can use other forms, other parts of the text. If we bold something, or in this case italicize, what meaning does this italicized part of the story have? Why did they italicize it? Number 4, in paragraph 44, Mrs. Jones states, shoes come by devilish like that will burn your feet. State in your own words what Mrs. Jones meant. I think it's shoes come by devilish means, I think they're missing a word there. Number 5, key ideas and details. Even though Roger never sees Mrs. Jones again in the end of the story, what evidence supports Mrs. Jones' promise in paragraph 21? When I get through with you, sir, you are going to remember Mrs. Luella Bates Washington Jones. So she says that early on in the story. How does she fulfill that promise? Graphic organizer, describe the setting. List the main characters. That's easy. There's only 2. Summarize the incident, the main thing that happened. And provide evidence, including dialogue from the text, to support each character's response to the incident. And then summarize the ending of the story. What is the theme of the story? Theme, here's the definition. It's easier said than finding it sometimes. Theme is the central idea, message, or purpose of a literary work. You will see this term, central idea, a lot, especially in SBA practices and on the SBA. When it's a central idea for a narrative text, they're looking for theme. When it says central idea of an informational or argumentative text, they're looking for the main idea, which is a little bit different, and we'll talk about that when we're working on expository and argumentative texts. But in this case, we're working on a narrative, so theme is the main idea or what the author or characters learned from the story. Okay, so that's kind of a way to think about it. What message is the author trying to tell you, or what message did the reader or the characters learn from the story? So come up with one, the good and the bad, about theme, as a lot of times there is more than one theme, and a lot of times it's based on the reader's experience. So sometimes somebody will read a story, or listen to a song, or read a poem, and get a different theme or meaning from it because of the things that they have experienced in their lives. Okay, the last activity is going to be a little short narrative, a little practice writing. Okay, so this story is told in the third person. Choose a scene or event in the incident and imagine Roger's thoughts and feelings about what is happening. Draft a first-person narrative of his thinking at that point in the story. Be sure to use first-person point of view. So you become Roger. So you'll use I and me. Okay, so those are the pronouns you're going to be using. Maintain the character of Roger and as the author presents him. So Roger is a young kid, so you'll write him as a young kid. Show how Roger's thoughts and feelings fit the theme of the story. Use a variety of first-person pronouns. We mentioned that. And ensure that they're in the correct case. Okay, so you'll type up this little short story here. Obviously, they don't give you, it's not going to be 10 pages. Just choose one scene. Don't do the whole story. Okay, just a part of the story. If it was me, I think the easiest part of the story would be at the beginning. Okay, Roger chooses something that is not very wise to do, and I would choose that part at the beginning. Okay, then we'll probably spend some time looking at how people, I think those are always interesting to see how people channel their inner Roger and see what activities and how they tell the story from his perspective. Okay, thanks. We'll talk to you later.